Alright, what's up guys? So this is Horrifying Night's Crime Show. Welcome, we are on the final part of Son of Sam, which is kind of cool because I finished Mindhunter, which was amazing, even better than the first season. I sound a little bit tense. It's because I was going to change my dog's water because I bring a separate water for him down here. And I was about to change it, and then I saw a spider web. And I thought that last year I was going to be done with spider. Nope. After what I saw today. Because I couldn't really get to sleep that well today, which is very odd. It usually does not happen. And there's a whole family of them, so I have to trying to build up the courage to kill them. But yep, a whole family of spiders. I counted at least 14. If a person who's not afraid saw them, they'd be like, "What? Look at the size of them. Are you kidding me?" But to me, it doesn't matter what the size is. I get scared. That and heights always gets me. But so I'm very tense right now. So I'm gonna jump every few seconds because I'm scared. So yeah. Alrighty. So we are in other activities. I don't know how long this episode's gonna be because there's just not that much to talk about left. But today I'm just going to tell you guys some stuff about some of the other activities the Son of Sam or David Berkowitz was doing. I'm not going to talk about his religious beliefs and all that stuff because I don't see how that goes to the case itself. But I will, I guess, talk about this. So in 2002, during the DC sniper attacks, which I've never heard of, I would have only been 6 years old at that time. So Berkowitz wrote a letter telling the sniper to, quote, "stop hurting innocent people," end quote. Okay, that's kind of weird. Berkowitz made his comments in a 3-page letter to Rita Cosby, what the hell of a last name, senior Chicago correspondent for Fox News Channel, after Cosby wrote him. It's kind of ironic that Cosby and Fox News Channel are in the same sentence, but wrote him seeking his comment on the sniper attacks. During June 2005, Berkowitz sued one of his previous lawyers for the misappropriation of a large number of letters, photographs, and other personal possessions. Hugo Harmatz, a New Jersey attorney, had represented Berkowitz in an earlier legal effort to prevent the National Enquirer from buying one of his letters. Harmatz then self-described his own collection of letters and memorabilia, Dear David, from 2005, which he had obtained from Berkowitz during their consultations. Berkowitz stated that he would drop the lawsuit only if the attorney signed over all the money he made to the victims' families. In October 2006, Berkowitz and Harmatz settled out of court, with Harmatz agreeing to return the disputed items and to donate part of his book profits to the New York State Crime Victims Board. Alright, so I am going to talk about this because of a lot of people believe this. And I actually do too. I think that it's half and half. I think he did be with some people, and some not. So, satanic cult claims. In 1979, Berkowitz mailed a book about witchcraft to police in North Dakota. He had underlined several passages and written a few notes, including the phrase, quote, I don't know what the word is, and then Perry hunted, stalked, and slain followed to California. The reference was to Arliss Perry, a 19-year-old North Dakota newlywed who had been murdered at Stanford on October 12, 1974. Her death in the notorious... Berkowitz mentioned the Perry attack in other letters, suggesting that he knew details of it from the perpetrator himself. Local police investigators interviewed him, but they, quote, now, 2004, believe he has nothing of value to offer, end quote. The Arliss Perry case has since been solved. Oh, okay, so that's good. After his admission to Sullivan Prison, Berkowitz began to claim that he had joined a satanic cult in the spring of 1975. In 1993, Berkowitz made these claims known when he announced to the press that he had killed only 3 of the Son of Sam victims, Donna Laura, Alexander Isu, and Valentina Serrani. In his revived version of the events, Berkowitz said that the other shooters were involved and that he fired the gun only in the first attack, Maria and Valenti, and the 6. S2 and Serrani. He said that he and several other cult members were involved in every incident by planning the events, providing early surveillance of the victims, and acting as lookouts and drivers at the crime scenes. Berkowitz stated that he could not divulge the names of most of the accomplices without putting his family directly at risk. Among Berkowitz's alleged unnamed associates was a female cult member whom he claims fired the gun at Denaro and Keenan, both of whom survived. Berkowitz said because the alleged accomplice was unfamiliar with the powerful recoil of a .44 Bulldog. Berkowitz declared that, quote, at least 5, end quote, cult members were at the scene of the Freud DL shooting, but the actual shooter was a prominent cult associate who had been brought in from outside New York with an unspecified motive, a cult member whom he identified only by his nickname, quote, Manson 2, end quote. Well, that's terrifying. Another unnamed person was a gunman in the Moskowitz Valenti case, a male cult member who had arrived from North Dakota for the occasion, also without explanation. Berkowitz did name 2 of the cult members, John and Michael Carr. The 2 men were sons of the dog owner Sam Carr, and they lived on a nearby Warburton Avenue. Both of these other, quote, son of Sam's, end quote, were long dead. John Carr was killed by a shooting judged as suicide in North Dakota during 1979, and Michael Carr had been in a fatal car accident in 1979. Berkowitz claimed that the actual perpetrator of the DeMacy Lamino shooting was John Carr, and he added that a Yonkers police officer, also a cult member, was involved in his crime, and he claimed that Michael Carr fired the shots at Lupo and Placido. Case reopened. Journalist John Hockenberry asserts that even aside from the satanic cult claims, many officials doubted the single shooter theory, writing, quote, what most don't know about the Son of Sam case is that from the beginning, not everyone brought the idea that Berkowitz acted alone, end quote. John Satushi, Queens District Attorney at the time of the killings, and police investigator Mike Novotny, both expressed their convictions that Berkowitz had accomplices. NYPD officer Richard Johnson, involved in the original investigations, had opined that unresolved discrepancies in statements from witnesses and surviving victims indicate Berkowitz did not act alone. Quote, why are there 3 cars, 5 different descriptions, different heights, different shapes, different sizes of the perpetrator? Somebody else was there, end quote. Other Contemporaries has voiced their belief in the satanic cult theory, including Donna Laura's father and Carl Denaro, who stated his opinion that, quote, more than one person was involved, end quote, but admitted he could not prove the cult theory. Denaro's conclusion rests on his criticism of Berkowitz's statement to police as, quote, totally false, end quote. John Deal's recollection is that he physically bumped into Berkowitz outside the Wine Gallery restaurant as he and Christine Freud departed and walked to his car where the shooting occurred. Berkowitz, in contrast, told police that he passed within a few feet of Deal and Freud shortly before they entered the car. Deal contends he and Freud passed no one on their way to the car, and further that the placement of the car parked at the curb would have made it impossible for Berkowitz to have snuck up on them in a few minutes between their car outside the restaurant and the shooting at the car. Due to thus reasons, he was shot by someone other than Berkowitz. Hockenberry's own report was broadcast by Network News and was given much exposure by Dateline NBC in 2004. In it, he discusses another journalist, Maury Terry, who had begun investigating the Son of Sam shootings before Berkowitz was arrested. Terry published a series of investigative articles in the Gannett newspapers in 1979, which challenged the official explanation of a lone gunman. Vigorously denied by police at the time, Terry's articles were widely read and discussed. They were later assembled in book form as The Ultimate Evil, 1987, expanded second edition in 1999. Largely impelled by these reports of accomplices in satanic cult activity, the Son of Sam case was reopened by Yonkers police during 1996, but no new charges were filed. Due to lack of findings, the investigation was eventually suspended but remains open. From prison, Berkowitz continues to assert and expand until his claims of demonic possession. He stated in a series of 9 videos in 2015 that, quote, voice, end quote, he heard was that of Sam Hain, a druid devil, and the true origin of, quote, Son of Sam, end quote. What is going on up there? He added that it never was a dog, saying that the deal was fabricated by the media. Sorry about that. Alright, so legal impact. Son of Sam law. After rampant speculation about publishers offering Berkowitz large sums of money for his story, the New York State legislature swiftly passed a new law that prevented convicted criminals and their relatives from making any financial profit from books, movies, or other enterprises related to the stories of their crimes. The U.S. Supreme Court struck down the so-called, quote, Son of Sam law, quote, end quote, for violating the First Amendment's right of free expression in the 1991 case of Simon and Schuster Inc. versus Crime Victims Board. But New York produced a constitutional revised version of the law in the following year. Similar laws have since been enacted in 41 states and at the federal level. And that is it. So the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to take it easy. And basically it's just going to be updates. And it will be up to me on whether or not I just want to take a 1 week break and just update you guys, or take a 2 week break, because we're going to be talking about the Amityville case. In the first 2 episodes, maybe 3 episodes, are going to be about the murders itself, and then I'm going to get down to the paranormal side of it. So that's it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.